Oh, what's that? Perfect. So welcome everyone to the elections for the 2021-2022 year. We're really excited and we know that all of you guys are going to do a fantastic job. And London and I are the only two EBOARD members on the current EBOARD that are not graduating. So we will be kind of initiating everything with elections this year and be asking all the questions. And the way that we're doing it to keep it as fair as possible is we're going to be having a ranked choice voting system. So when you vote, you'll be able to list, I want person X, Y, and Z in order. You can say your first choice, second choice, third choice. And then say someone you vote for president is also running for maybe like treasurer or event planner or something like that. If they end up winning president, they will then be taken out of the vote for the event planner and treasurer slots. That way, that if they ended up winning that other slot as well, it'll go to your second choice. Just to make it fair for everyone, and we really want to encourage everyone to be running. And we're also going to allow people to run from the floor. So even though you may have like verbally said that you're going to run for like just one position or just two positions, as we go through, we're going to start with president and then we're going to end with the social media coordinator spot. As we go through and you decide, hey, I actually do want to run for treasurer, you can do so. So yeah, I think we're gonna get started. So if you are, and the other thing forgot to mention, as we go through, we're gonna have each of our candidates for each position type in the chat. So we're gonna start with president. So you're gonna type president and then your name into the chat, just so we can keep a little bit of a better log of who is running. So if all of the presidential candidates could put your name in the chat, we will get started. Awesome. Great. Okay, so it looks like for presidential candidates, we have Harriet Dahlem and Freya Johnson. So awesome. And we're also going to be rotating the way that we ask questions. So we'll go alphabetically and we'll start with Harriet and then we'll start with Freya and then we'll go with Freya and then we'll switch for the second question just to keep it fair. So our first question is going to be, describe your origin as a student leader. What led you to get involved and what advice would you give to others who have not yet realized their potential for leadership? So we'll start with you, Harriet.
So I think I had previously to AIS, I had leadership experience. I was in 4-H growing up, which is a like an agricultural and leadership club. And I'd been president for that, and I'd been had other roles in that. And so I think that I sort of had a little bit of a background. And then this past year, I've been vice president for AIAS, which I think was a good segue in for me to sort of understand the way that AIS works, so that I feel like I would sort of have the background knowledge I need to be a really good president. So I think in terms of getting other people involved and the reasons I got involved, I really liked the work that AIAS was doing. And so I sort of saw people like Jordan who were involved, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I also want to do that. And also just having, just really liking what AIS is doing and wanting to get involved and having that sense of community, and being on eBoard seemed like a great way to be involved at a deeper level. So I guess for me, for getting other people involved, it would sort of be a similar thing of getting AIS to do things that I think reach out to as many of the students as possible, to get them involved, whether that is at a attending events level or it is a eBoard level. So I think sort of creating that sense of community and that support network, so people feel like there's an easy way into that, and it makes it seem very accessible.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Harriet. And Freya, I can also repeat the questions too if you want me to.
Yeah, that would be nice if you could.
Yeah, of course. So describe your origin as a student leader. What led you to get involved And what advice would you give to others who have yet to realize their potential for leadership?
Okay, so I've always been interested in like leadership, especially in like architecture. Since I was little, I always known I've wanted to make my own business, and I've wanted this experience to like carry over into college as well. Some experience I have is that I'm technically the president and founder of a club already. I have the UMASS art club, but it's not official yet. I have a server with over 100 people in it that we have meetings every Friday night. And I guess the reason I wanted to get involved was really to like further my own career and like meet other architecture students as well. Yeah, just helping people like push their careers forward and learn more about the architecture world and getting involved. And some advice to other students, I guess, would just be to like attend any Aias event, like learn more about, you know, the architecture world, and especially with some of the great events we have coming up, like the portfolio firm review as well. So yeah, that would be my advice.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Freya. So we are going to go on to our second question. So Freya, this time we'll start with you and then we'll go back to Harriet. So during an executive board meeting, there is a disagreement among officers. There is no majority in either direction in the decision making. How do you proceed?
Well, I guess the first thing would to make sure that each side is calm, like nobody's yelling or anything, making sure that nothing is getting too angry or anything. I would say we'd have to come to a compromise. We'd have to like hear out each side and see what works and what doesn't, and like figure out something that where both sides can meet in the middle.
Great. All right, Harriet, and I can repeat the question at any time too.
Sure. That'd be great.
All right, so during an executive board meeting, there is a disagreement among officers. There is no majority in either direction in the decision making. How do you proceed?
I think it's like originally, like the first thing I'd have to do is sort of figure out what the different sides are, if that makes sense. Like sort of be like, okay, if one person is saying this, what exactly are you saying, to make sure there's no miscommunications. And I think also by talking through the different sides, we might be able to like pick apart details and sort of come to a conclusion that way. And also I think by talking things through, it would really allow for whatever the bigger question is to sort of what's the word I'm trying to say? Not evolve. Room. Fix itself, come together in like a more natural way. I really wish, yeah. I can't form sentences, but I think talk it out and then come to a conclusion in a natural way where people are sort of hearing each other out, and almost like a third solution that is a collaboration can be formed instead of one or the other.
Great, awesome, thank you so much. All right, so Harriet, we're gonna jump back to you again for the next question. And that is, what is your vision for our chapter of the AIAS? And what will you do to demonstrate that this is a priority for you?
I think, so my main goals are sort of like furthering that support network, especially I think coming out of a pandemic when we're in person again, there's a lot of the ways in which we'll need to sort of regroup, I think will be really important, especially with people who haven't had architecture classes in person yet, but it'll be a really new experience. And so I think having like a support network in place for that will be really helpful. And also just being an architecture student, it's always good to have help. It's always good to have a support network. So I think sort of creating that community aspect is really important for me. And then also, as we've seen is that students are really interested in things that like professional development events. So I think sort of getting more involvement for that, maybe trying to expand our mentorship program to professionals to connect architecture students to professionals. That'd be something I'd be interested in like getting started or looking into. So the community, professional development, and then also sort of going off the professional development. A lot of what I've heard from people is that networking is really important in architecture. And I feel like as an architecture student, it's sort of hard to know how to network and like where to get those experiences. So I think, and also networking is something that scares me just because it's like, there's no way to practice networking without actually networking with someone. So I think sort of trying to find ways to make like professional development more accessible and sort of like a natural transition from our education into that. And the third thing would probably be, my brain just blanked again. It's been a long week, it's only Tuesday. How I would make it happen. I really care a lot about AIAS, and I think that when I care a lot about something, I put a lot of time and energy into it. And so I think another part of being president is knowing your limits and knowing how much you can do. And so I think that there's that combination of putting all you have into it, but also knowing when you need to delegate or when you need to get outside resources. And I think that that balance would be really helpful for me to best lead the club without, like making promises I can't fill, etc.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Harriet. And Freya, I'll read the question again for you. What is your vision for our chapter of the AIAS, and what will you do to demonstrate that this is your priority?
I think, sorry. My vision for this chapter, I guess, is to really combine the academic and professional worlds of architecture into one, and see not just working with academic work, but when we are having meetings and such, like the portfolio review, like connecting with firms and networking. It's a very important part. And I think one thing I would probably do for this is definitely help with networking and creating programs, definitely probably for internships as well, as that's something I've found to be like a real challenge, especially this past year with finding internships and trying to network with the resources we have. So yeah, I think that trying to combine this academic and the professional world of architecture into one, like kind of merging together, would help our chapter succeed.
Great, thank you so much, Freya. And our last question, we'll start with you, Freya, and then we'll go to Harriet. How connected are you to others in this department, both students and faculty?
I feel like I'm very connected with like other students and faculty in this area. Our class sizes are like very small. You get to know everyone really well. I have lots of friends in my architecture classes, and with faculty too. I feel like I've made some meaningful connections with. They're always helpful and want you to do your best and succeed.
Fantastic. And Harriet, would you like me to repeat this one too?
I think I got the gist, but if I miss a huge part of the question, let me know. I think between being in person, I think was nice because I would pass people in the hallway. But I think so I think I have a combination of like people I know from being in person, and then there's other professors who I've had only in the pandemic or who I've attended meetings with during the pandemic. So I think it'll be nice to sort of next semester sort of combine all of the people I know into one setting instead of having like professors I've had classes with or professors I've seen in person a lot. And so I think being in the design building again will be really nice in terms of having that sense of community. And I think that from my time both in person and online, I've made a lot of connections with faculty. And also in terms of students, I mean, I know my whole studio pretty well. And then through AIS events and through, I guess, mostly AIS events, I know more underclassmen and through the mentorship program, etc. So that's, yeah.
Awesome. One last question for you, Harriet. Who is the best Beatle?
Oh my gosh, I can't act under pressure like this. Alice, you have to answer.
Of course, I have an opinion, but this is
I
for the vote for you, man.
I know. I didn't
can't
prepare
help
for
you.
this mentally.
You can say Taylor Swift. I feel like you would say that.
That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, fine. I know that my personal opinion, George Harrison is the best, and the first and last letter Beatles.
This is a great example of how when I don't know how to handle a problem, I will delegate to someone else.
Awesome. Okay, and now Freya. Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
I don't know, probably the chicken. I mean, how's an egg gonna make another egg? It's just got to be a chicken.
Good point. All right. And thank you so much to our presidential candidates. You both did a fantastic job answering the questions. I know it's a lot of pressure to be in front of people and have challenging questions like that. So thank you so much. You were amazing. All right. And now we are going to move on to our vice presidential candidates. So if you are running for vice president, you can type your name into the chat and say vice president. All right, and it looks like we have 3 candidates for vice president. So we have Faye and Freya and Alice. So this is very exciting. And so I guess we'll just jump right into it. So we will start with, I'm gonna have to remember which order now. Now that we have 3, we just can't go back and forth. I think we're gonna start with Faye, or actually we'll go alphabetical. So it'd be Alice, then Freya, and then Faye. Wait, right? I think it's alphabetical. No.
My last name, that is correct.
Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna start with Alice. So describe your leadership style. Explain how previous experience with working with teams have helped you discover your leadership style.
I feel like as a leader, I'm very like conflict avoidant to the fact of like trying to make sure that there's always compromise, because I believe that everyone's voice has an equal say and equal part in something. I currently live with 7 other people, excluding myself, 6 excluding her as well. So it's sort of taught me how to like lead, but also like not so much as in like making everybody do something, but just like if there's a conflict, just sort of like tell other people and get to hear everybody's like part of it, and sort of just like understand each other. And mediator, yeah, just like, yeah. And like as like vice president, you sort of have to like lead from the sidelines, and I feel like I'm really good at like leading from the sidelines personally, because I don't necessarily always like step up to be the leader, but I'm very good at like helping somebody gain information from people, or like sending people like to that person, and just like being able to delegate tasks and figure things out, in addition to helping that person do the rest. And I feel like I do that thoroughly in my house, and AS could like be like that too, a little family.
That's great. Thank you so much, Alice. All right, so now we're gonna go to Freya. So I'll repeat the question again. Describe your leadership style. Explain how previous experiences working with teams have helped you discover your leadership style. And I apologize that the questions are a little bit redundant for you, Freya.
I guess my leadership style is yeah, not just like forcing a group of people to go this way, but like maybe leading them along and like showing them different ways to connect and come together with these activities. And I guess one of my experiences working with this would be being a leader and president of my art club. Yeah, like planning events, having people come together and like talk and socialize, just being able to see people coming together and making connections from an event that you planned is like a really good feeling, and has helped me discover the type of leadership I like to have.
Excellent. And Faye, and if you want me to repeat it again, I can.
Yeah, just one more time. I think I got it, but I don't want to forget anything.
Of course. Describe your leadership style. Explain how previous experiences working with teams have helped you discover your leadership style.
Okay, so I guess there are really two main examples that I think really show my leadership style as kind of one of those background leaders, because that's kind of where I'm the most comfortable, is delegating tasks, kind of making sure that everyone is on track, having like an understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of all of our teammates, and then kind of delegating based off of that. And kind of the same thing with conflicts, is knowing who is like very educated on a subject and kind of understanding who might be raising a question for a particular reason and then trying to work through them with that. And I guess examples of that would be in most of my like developmental years. I was part of a demo team in karate, and I started off kind of bottom of the rung, but I was also like 8 at the time. And then like as I grew, the team also grew, so I kind of grew with it, and filled a leadership role where I would go to people and kind of know who was good at what points in martial arts, and then use that to develop the demonstrations that we were doing. And I would go to the actual coaches and kind of express those strengths and weaknesses and what I thought would work really well for the team. And then I also work with a team of students with one of the professors that teaches. And again, I've had to kind of learn what each of us are good at and like streamline processes, because a lot of the things that we do are very repetitive. So knowing who's really good at running a particular program, or who's really good at the kind of repetitive, more, I don't want to say mundane, but that's the best word I can think of, is like the very repetitive kind of mind-numbing tasks. Like we have some people who really excel at that kind of thing and can get it done really, really quickly. So I guess kind of knowing, yes, systematic tasks, that is the word. So yeah, kind of knowing everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and then being able to use that knowledge to better inform who gets what task, I'd say is kind of where my leadership style falls.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Faye. And I think we'll go backwards this time. So Faye, we're going to start again with you. And your question is, do you like green eggs and ham?
Oh goodness, I've only had it once in kindergarten. I have a story. We made it, like, we like took dye and we mixed it with the eggs and we made the scrambled eggs, and I'm not a particularly big fan of eggs, so like probably not my jam, but I do have a distinct memory of eating it at one point in my life. I just have no idea how I felt about it.
Yeah, we made it in preschool. Not my favorite. I didn't like it for a while after that.
I don't remember if we made the ham green, and I also don't remember how we would have done that if we did. And it would have been kind of alarming if we did.
I think we tried to. It was not good.
I have made purple potato soup though, where we dyed it purple. I don't know why we did it, but we decided it was a good idea.
Very cool. Awesome. All right. And now Freya, do you know the Muffin Man?
I do not, unless my father getting muffins for the family counts as that.
Yeah, pretty close. Okay, and now Alice, is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is Patrick.
Perfect. All right. So, and then Alice, we will start with you this time. So, describe a time you took the initiative to take on a new responsibility.
Okay, so in high school, there was an occasion where, you know, when all those like hurricanes, that one year where all those hurricanes hit the islands, and there are like a lot of, it was like a crazy year for natural disasters. It was absolutely insane. And there were so many islands and like getting absolutely wrecked. Like people lost so many homes. Like there's absolute destruction. And so I was like listening to the news, hearing about all these things, and I was like, we could, I don't know, have like a bake sale to raise money for the like some places that really needed help. So I went to the National Honor Society, which I was a part of at the time in high school, and I was like, hey, why doesn't like we're gonna like there's going to be like parent tour for like the school where you get to meet all your kids like different teachers. And so since that was happening, open house, we had a bake sale and we raised over $700 to make for the islands and saving people and making things that better. So we donated that money to like a nonprofit that would help fund their trip, like going there. And it was just like a really cool way to like be connected with things. And like I had to make posters and I had to send out emails and I had to do all this stuff. So it was like important way to like lead and make something happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alice. All right. And then, so Freya, we'll go on to you next. So describe a time you took the initiative to take on a new responsibility.
I think a good example of this would have to do with this art club I keep talking about that I kind of founded. Ever since freshman year, I noticed there was apparently no art club, just like a general art club for the UMASS campus. And this semester, actually, I decided to take the initiative and like start to create this. So I made a server and I started to like advertise it on all the different UMass social medias, as well as like tell friends. And slowly this community was like gathering, and it was so fun seeing like all these people come together. And some people even like reconnect with like long lost connections. And yeah, it's been great so far, like seeing people come together. And I'm hoping that next semester too, it'll become like more official, other than this little unofficial club right now. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Freya. All right. And Faye, do you need me to repeat it again?
Yeah.
Okay. So describe a time you took the initiative to take on a new responsibility.
I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is kind of like in this past year, kind of the beginning of spring semester 2020, up until now, I've had a lot of things that kind of come into my, like, I have my thumbs in a lot of pies right now. And I think that kind of knowing where I can be helpful has been really good for that. So like kind of going into Aias EBOARD is like one of the big ones that I have chosen for myself. It hasn't been something that I've been asked. And kind of knowing that so for anyone who doesn't know, I am currently the event coordinator. And kind of, I know that I'm really good at like time management and reaching out to people and kind of getting on people's case. So kind of knowing that that is my own strength, I sought out this position. And I also ran for treasurer, and I'm so glad that London got that, because for my own strengths, I think that I am much more suited for a more people-oriented position, if that makes sense. So something that I can be kind of pushing for specific things, pushing for changes, and less the like money aspect, which I don't think that I would enjoy very much. So yeah, I guess like as far as things that I have sought, AIS eBoard is kind of one of the bigger things that has happened in the past year. But then also just like in my work life with the team that I work with, kind of like pushing for my ideas to be heard because I am the only undergrad in that team. So like sometimes it is a little bit of a challenge to be taken seriously. So I've really had to work hard to like kind of get my position in that team. And be taken seriously and to have my ideas heard. So I guess that kind of leads back around to me not really backing down very easily. I'm a very stubborn person. So I guess that those would kind of be the two cases of things that I've really strived to do and like really pushed to get done in recent times. I don't know if that actually answered the question. I kind of went on a tangent there, but
No, that was great. Thank you so much, Faye. Okay, and then we will go to Freya, then Faye, then Alice to change up the order a little bit. So Freya, we'll start with you. In what ways do you engage with your peers and how, actually, you know what? You don't have to answer that one because you already answered it. So we will go to Alice and then Faye. So just to repeat it again, in what ways do you engage with your peers? How connected are you?
I feel like I'm kind of staying connected because like it's easy to get separated from people when there isn't really any way to connect or like do anything or like stuff goes on because like, stuff it's hard to like attend things because we're sort of in a time period where no days like feel real and time also doesn't exist. So I feel like by just like staying on top of like messaging my friends and like homework assignments and emails and things like that, like staying on top of those things and staying on top of just like reminders about like being present helps stay in contact and helps like understand how to like manage your time and manage people and do that sort of thing. Yeah,
Awesome. Thanks so much, Alice. And now, Faye, in what ways do you engage with your peers? How connected are you?
yeah, so I guess like anyone who knows me outside of the Zoom world kind of knows that I am a massive introvert. I am not really a people person, but that being said, I feel like I really kind of thrive in the studio setting. Like having all of these people around me that I can go for feedback and I can give feedback to and kind of talk my ideas through with has been incredibly helpful for me. And so like when we transitioned to remote, that was something that I really didn't want to lose. And this was more prevalent last semester than it has been this semester because I think we're all kind of like figuring out how to do stuff. But I found myself reaching out to a lot of the friends that I had made when we were in person and kind of like asking them if we could call and asking if I could bounce ideas off of them. So like kind of adapting in that way. And like it's upsetting because like I have lost some of the people that I would ask like on a very regular basis for feedback due to the fact that we've gone remote. But as far as like the connections that I have, I still think that they are just as strong as they were in studio. And through AIAS, I've even been able to connect to like people outside of our department, like outside of our school, like when Smith College students come to events or when we had the Keene State event, like all of those things have kind of helped me build my community of people that I can reach out to and ask for help. And it's kind of helped to sustain something even close to a studio environment for me. So yeah, I guess I'd say that I'm pretty connected, and being remote has made that harder, but I think that I've kind of persevered through that. Because like reaching out to people and asking if they want to jump on a Zoom call is a lot more stressful than asking, like walking over to someone's desk and asking for feedback. Like it takes a little more planning. You have to like approach someone, all of which are things that stress me out. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my answer, is that I think that when I want that connection and when I feel that that connection is something that is important, I will strive to maintain it, would be my response.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Faye. So for our final question for our vice presidential candidates, we'll do Freya, then I'm looking at Harriet's screen because Alice is there. I almost said Harriet. Freya, then Alice, and then Faye. So for our final question, we have, what does AIAS mean to you, and what would you like to see change within our chapter? So Freya, I know you've kind of touched upon this one in pretty great detail, but if you have any other thoughts you'd like to add to it, please feel free to do so.
I guess AIS for me is just a way to get involved more with more architecture students, and definitely meet more upperclassmen and underclassmen as well, as I feel like in class you only speak to a certain population of the architecture students. And I feel like yeah, the recent mentorship program definitely is like a great addition, and I feel like it should be focused on a bit more maybe as well, and going forward with Aias. And I think, yeah, just being able to connect with architecture majors of different years is a very important part of it too.
Great. And then Alice, would you like me to repeat it again? Okay.
No, I think I've got it. To me, AIAS really means community. Being on the EBOARD for just this year, it's brought me like so close to the other EBOARD members and made me like care a lot about AIAS and architecture, and like just like finding ways to make it easier to be an architecture student, and having like other people I know I can talk to, rely on, and like ask questions. And it sort of like cultivates like almost like the feeling of family. That's sort of like, oh, it's a little cliche, but it's just like, I don't know, just people I get close to, and I'm able to like feel comfortable asking questions and like knowing I can rely on them, and vice versa. And it's like just a really cool way to get to know other architecture students, especially because some of our events are about like meeting other architects, tutorials, stuff like that, that really helps. And it's really cool to have like something that like that we, the students, create that actively helps us reach our goals and like put a foot into the architectural world, which is really hard. And definitely what I'd like to see it do is just like have a bigger population. I want it to grow because it has like so much potential. And I think everybody, every student should be in AIS, because we're all architecture students. All we're going to do is like just make it easier for us to figure things out and like really just lend a helping hand to each other. And I really hate the idea that architecture students should be pitted against each other. I don't believe in the competition in like schools like Syracuse that are just like so dog eat dog world, like competition of the fittest. Like it's just like, it's already so hard out there getting jobs and things. That's a difficult thing. And it would be cool, like, because architects like have to work with other people. You can't just be like a architect and just like be on your own and like ignore all the rules and all other people and just do your own thing. It's just about like connecting and communication and like just understanding how other people feel and inventing ideas and creativity. That's something that like we need other people to learn how to do. You need a team for that. So AIS really represents like my goal for becoming an architect myself and what I want to see out of architecture. People coming together to support each other and their goals, making things better.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Alice. And then pass it over to Faye. So would you like me to repeat it again? Okay, so what does AIAS mean to you, and what would you like to see change within our chapter?
Okay, so I remember like last time I was running, I got asked the same question, and I think my answer has changed because last year I said that it was like this strong sense of community and that I felt like I could be part of something that like made me feel safe and comfortable. Whereas now, like as a member of the AIS board, like it is our job to be the voice of students and really kind of push for change. And in a lot of ways, that is uncomfortable. So we need to be able to like ask those hard questions and kind of pull apart the things that students need and then voice them to the people that need to hear them. So like a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes is the stuff that I really, really enjoy. Um, and I think that's mainly how my perception of what it means to be on like part of AIS has changed is that it is both a place where like you can feel incredibly comfortable and at home, but it is also such a position of change and reform. And I think that's really important given this past year and the things that we've been talking about as a department. Um, so yeah, I guess like that answers kind of both sides of the question of like what AIS means to me is like a voice essentially, and kind of like a place where people can voice their concerns or the things that they're having wrong and kind of truly know that change will happen, and that your concerns will be heard and they will be put to the correct people. Um, and then like using those words to enact change is something that I really want to see happen next year, is like actually be able to see a genuine change come from the things that AIS does. So yeah, I guess those are the main things that like how my view of AIS has changed since being on the e-board.
Great, thank you so much, Faye, and thank you to all of our vice presidential candidates. You all did really great job answering the questions. And now we're gonna pass it over to, I'm gonna pass it over to London to ask the questions for the treasurer and secretary.
Yeah. So if anyone's running for treasurer, if you could please put your name in the chat box. Is there no one? Okay, if there isn't. Okay, and then I'll just move on then. Secretary.
And if I could just chime in real quick, it appears so since we don't have anyone at this time running for treasurer, what we can do is then have it be an appointed position. So if we end up having more people running for positions that already we have people running for, we can, whoever doesn't end up getting one of those positions, we will reach out to you and see if you would like to be appointed to treasurer.
Okay, and then for secretary, is it just Amanda? Is it just you? Yep. Okay. So that's the first question. So the first question is, do you have any experience in organizational positions?
Yes, I do. I currently am actually a note taker for one of my courses, and that involves me like kind of in that sidelines category of making sure I get sufficient notes to people that need them and making sure that they're well organized. And if anyone knows me, I try to be as organized as I possibly can be, and really like having stuff a certain way to keep it in that organizational category to make sure things run smoothly.
And then Alice, you can go. Do you need me to repeat the question?
That was a yes. To repeat the question. I don't know if that was understood.
So do you have any experience in organizational positions?
Yes. I have already been secretary of this club. for the past year. So I feel like that sort of like supports the fact that like I've been doing this, I know how to do this. I'm comfortable being on EBOARD, and just like supports the fact that like if I can do secretary less like this past year, I could probably do it again. It's like good stuff. I don't really, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just going to keep the order just Amanda and then Alice, if you guys don't mind. So the second question is, you have an upcoming event that involves scheduling multiple students for interviews. How would you begin to schedule them? How would you assist the eBoard team to achieve this goal quickly?
I feel like I would first ask the availability of all parties involved to see who's available at what time, what works best for them, and then also maybe like taking into consideration if someone likes to go first or if someone likes to go last, because especially in kind of like studio culture, sometimes you see that there are people that rather in an event or in their critique go toward the beginning, go in the middle, or go at the end. So try to maybe delegate with these with all parties involved to see what works best for them. And I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part of the question?
Yeah, so it's how would you assist the eBoard team to achieve this goal quickly?
I would try to gather all the people's involved information, such as emails, and also if I can't reach them through email, maybe trying to find them myself through figuring out maybe like other people that might know them, where like not to be like a studio bomber, but like go in studio and see like if they're still wanting to be involved in the event, and just taking that initiative to make sure everything stays in order to take some of the pressure off of other people in AIAS.
And then Alice, I'll repeat it again. You have an upcoming event that involves scheduling multiple students for interviews. How would you begin to schedule them? And how would you assist the eBoard team to achieve this goal quickly?
So to schedule an event with multiple people, the first thing to do is to like check AIS's own schedule, see what we've got going on, where it falls with other events. We've been having a lot of events this year, and if that continues next year, there's like a lot of scheduling that needs to be done. So there might be conflict changes as well as other events either canceling or rescheduling. So you sort of really have to be on top of things and know what day things are going to happen and have it all written out. And then after that, you have to, excuse me, sorry, you have to like investigate in the individual parties and see who isn't available, try to find a time that overlaps, and sort of just like accept that some people are going to be late or early, or like late or like leave early. And because we're all so busy all the time, especially as architects, especially like in person, everyone's going to different clubs. You barely have time to eat. You're in studio all the time. It's important to like really figure out how long things are going to be and what's really required, and like making sure that everything is just synced and you really know what's going on. Because I feel like most people who are in architecture are sort of like they're planning everything out constantly, like everything is timed and you know how long you're supposed to be working on something. So like knowing exactly when things are happening is important. So I would like relay information between parties and then put everyone in a group chat and have that work out.
Okay, thank you, Alice. And then this next question, I know Alice, you already answered this, but if you want to add on, you can add on later on. But Amanda, what does AIAS mean to you, and how will you make this position a priority?
What it means to me, I will be completely honest, I know I've been a little bit absentee this year with the whole pandemic, but especially in person, it felt like such a platform for me to connect with other people in the department, especially when because I started going to club meetings in sophomore year, and especially that transition from the art department based classes to architecture based classes, and that big jump, it really helped knowing that there was a support system there. And then also the different tutorials, especially like recently the Revit one, just feel very relatable, and something that we definitely need. And it made me feel a lot better being able to get that type of tutorial from somebody like Jake, because it just definitely made me feel like there are people there willing to help. And a way I'd make this a priority is really just making sure I stay on top of being in contact with everybody and a part of the EBOARD, but also trying to make sure I check in with other members of the club that are just general members to make sure that they feel important in it as well, and feel like even though they might not be on the EBOARD, making sure that their presence is important there, because it wouldn't be a club without everyone coming together for a common goal. And yeah, I just really would like to be that, like, even though like secretary isn't like president and vice president where you're like really kind of like on the front lines with the club, I would like to be that person that fosters that sense of community and really be there for people.
Thank you. And then Alice, if you want to add upon to what does AIAS mean to you and how will you make this position a priority?
I feel like my last answer encapsulated everything I wanted to say. Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. And then the last question for you, Amanda. Are you smarter than a 5th grader?
Ooh, I really don't know, to be honest. I am definitely a mix of like book smart, and then street smarts are very much lacking. So hopefully, since smarter than a 5th grader is more book smart, hopefully I could be smarter, but you know, have my ditzy blonde moments at the moment. No offense to anyone that's blonde.
Thank you. And then Alice, who let the dogs out?
Who?
Thank you. So congrats for everyone who participated for secretary. I guess I can go on to the social media coordinator. So whoever's doing that, could you please put it in the chat box? Okay.
And then Brianna is also running, but like I mentioned before, like she messaged me on her friend's phone that her phone died and then they didn't have service. So she will be running and we'll ask her the questions later.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so Michaela, to start off, the first question, describe your social media presence.
This is a fun one. Okay, so I have 3 Instagram accounts. One for myself, one is a powerlifting account, and then the other one is for my doggy. So I've been using my fitness Instagram mainly for like a year now, because I was on the powerlifting team. And that's been super fun. So I've been doing that in my free time while being at home. And I love using Procreate on my iPad. So I'm really into making like designs and logos and stuff. So I have that as background too.
Thank you. And then to move on, so you have not received the information that you need to create the graphic that you're supposed to post to advertise the event that night. How do you begin to draft the graphic? What do you do if you do not receive the info until right before the event?
I think that I would probably make a graphic that was like not like super vague, but something that just generally encapsulates what it's supposed to be for. And I would try to reach out to as many people as I possibly could to figure out what information I needed. But yeah, I think I would probably just make something that's like aesthetically pleasing, has at least some information that I know. And then later on, I could go back, edit the post, and then repost it to the story with more information.
Thank you. And then the next one is, when beginning to create graphics, where do you draw where do you draw your interest from, and what is your graphic style?
Well, architecture mainly. I also have done a lot of watercoloring, so I tend to lean towards watercolor for even just like graphic design on my computer, just because I like the way that it looks. And so I always kind of start with line work or just like big splotches of color and then go through with line work. That's more my style.
And then the last question is, can cats have salami?
I feel like probably not. I know if my little puppy ate that, he would be vomiting. So
Thank you. And then Jordan, you can do the next one for event coordinator.
Yeah, definitely. So whoever is running for event coordinator, feel free to put your name in the chat.
I don't know if I spelled that right, but here we are.
Awesome. All right, cool. So we've got 2 people running. So we have Faye and Helen. So we will start with Helen and then we'll go to Faye. So our first question is propose an event or activity that could be conducted over Zoom or in person. So we'll start with Helen for that one.
Should I only propose like one or like a couple different things?
However many you want.
Okay. I think there are lots of things we can actually do with Zoom. Like I thought we couldn't do much with Zoom, but over the past year, I've attended like a lot of different events from the student leadership board, because I'm part of it, and they would have like movie nights or like painting nights, or those are like more of the casual ones, I'd say. Or we could even have like desk crits. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Helen. And Faye, would you like me to repeat it?
No, I'm good. So like as the event coordinator from this past year, I've helped kind of put together a lot of the events. The ideas for them have been a really collaborative process, but my side of it is a lot more of the planning portion. So we've done the things like the Bob Ross nights, which were really easy to convert to Zoom because we just all watched the Bob Ross video and painted and then kind of showed off our work. But the event that I'm most proud of was actually the sketch night that we did with Keen. We got a really good turnout for that because we had both of the schools participating. But then we also kind of had a couple of meetings going through what we wanted to do, and the types of sketching that we came up with were very compatible with the Zoom format. And I kind of did like brainstorming on my end, trying to figure out how we could each present our work. So that was another struggle that we had of like, okay, we have all of these sketches, but how do we show them and kind of make that connection? And I worked to put together a PowerPoint where everyone could put their work, and then we could present that and everyone could see. So I guess that was kind of one of the main hurdles that we had to get over with a lot of the events we were doing, is that you want to be able to show your work. Like that's one of the like feel good things of doing an event like that. So that was one of the things that we really wanted to hold on to. And then another event that is coming up that I think really lends itself well to being online are the ones like the portfolio review with actual firms. Because I know that in the past, people have been hesitant to set up a portfolio review for us with firms due to traveling. It's not convenient when we live in a place like Amherst that has like 3 or 4 architecture firms, and most things are in either Boston or New York. Whereas when you have an online platform, you can invite people from like California, if that's where a person, especially as a state school, like we have people coming from across the country to get educations here. So I think that those are really important aspects to keep in mind, is like also knowing what events lend themselves better to being online and being in the Zoom verse, because this is now kind of a tool in our toolbox. So not everything needs to be in person all the time. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Faye. And we'll go Faye and then Helen for the next question. So I know, Faye, you were just talking a little bit about this, but have you done any event planning in the past?
yeah, so I mean, event coordinator, that I got that under my belt. But I also have had to like plan meetings over this past year. I've done a lot of like little things here and there. This has been the first time that I've had like a title associated with it, but I've always been very good at kind of working around people's schedules and making like playing Tetris with time. And like that kind of plays into the fact that my mom is very chronologically challenged. So like my whole life I've had to kind of fill that void. So yeah, I guess like event planning and time management is kind of something that comes naturally to me. But the big one would be being the event coordinator.
Thank you, Faye. And Helen?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, of course. Have you done any event planning in the past?
Yeah, I'd say I planned a couple events in the past. Some were like not exactly events though. More like planning what to put in a website or like how to like attract people to events. But I was part of a club in high school and we planned a couple different events. I'd say what's really important in event planning would be time management, like knowing what type of event would attract people, or like sorry, I blanked out. Yeah, I'd say time management is really important, and like keep making sure that you're on top of things would be two like most important things. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. So now, Helen, we'll start with you and then we'll go back to Faye. So your question is, if a dog wore pants, would they go on the two back legs or on all four legs?
I'd say the two back legs.
Perfect. And then Faye, is mayonnaise an instrument?
I don't know the reference. Oh no! I mean, I guess if you use it properly, like I didn't watch SpongeBob as a kid. This might lose me some votes, but I didn't watch SpongeBob as a kid.
Whoa.
Oh, lost Michaela's vote.
It's okay. I didn't watch SpongeBob either.
I had
glad-
a teacher in freshman year of high school that he told us all that like he doesn't allow his kids to watch SpongeBob, and all of us in the class were very disappointed. But I am not disappointed in you, Faye.
Thank you. But I'd say if you do it correctly, yes.
Good answer, especially for not knowing the reference. Okay. And then our last question, we'll start with you, Faye, this time. As event planner, you will have to communicate in great detail with the treasurer, other chapters, and faculty members. Describe your communication skills.
So I guess like I mentioned earlier when I was doing my vice president interview, I am very good at kind of like being on top of people if they aren't getting back to me, which I think is one of my stronger skills, because I try my best to not get frustrated with people when they don't get back to me. I will just consistently remind them that they need to email me back until they do. And if they don't, I will find their office and ask them in person. So, which I mean, obviously couldn't do this year, but it is something that I'm completely comfortable doing. So yeah, I guess I'm very good at drafting emails. That is one of the skills that I pride myself on, is I can display urgency without coming across as rude. So I think that answers the question of like, how do I communicate effectively is what I would say.
Great. Thank you so much, Faye. And then Helen, I'll just repeat it one more time. As event planner, you will have to communicate in great detail with the treasurer, other chapters, and faculty members. Describe your communication skills.
I feel like when it comes to like important things, I can definitely communicate with people and like make sure I don't sound rude when I'm asking for things. I was part of a club and I did have to do a bit of this. Like I had to borrow some spaces in that building, and so I had to like contact lots of different people. So yeah, I'd say I'm pretty good at that. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I think that is just about it for event coordinator. Great job. And Brianna, I see that you're on the call now.
Hello, I have gained service for a small period of time.
Great. So we just went through the social media coordinator questions, but I can go through them again for you real quick too.
That'd be excellent.
Perfect. All right. So describe your social media presence.
Well, I really want to be out there, and I'm very keen on making a organized feed. Consistency is very important to me, and I want to demonstrate to other chapters or prospective students who see our page that we're very consistent, we're very organized, and we have a strong design language.
Great. And our next question, do you believe in life after love?
Absolutely not.
Good, Cher would be proud. Okay. All right, and next question. You've not received the information that you need to create the graphic that you're supposed to post to advertise that night. How do you begin to draft the graphic? What would you do if you have not received the info until right before the event?
Well, I would make the graphic as simple as possible using what little information that I have, although there may not be any specific details, so long as there is a title of the event, that would at least get the notice out there and people would still be aware that there is an event going on. I think it's more important to at least get the general idea out, and then specifics can come later when I do get them.
Thank you. And last question, when beginning to create graphics, where do you draw your interest from? What is your graphic style?
I'd like to call upon UMass's very unique and diverse architecture. So including that and having that language in the graphic, but also drawing upon the fact that we're very creative individuals and using that kind of scheme to go about the design.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Bree. Great job. We have one position left that we're going to go through. Unless, Bree, were you thinking about running for any other position besides social media coordinator and mentorship coordinator? Oh no, did we lose her? Oh, well, I'll ask her later. Okay, so mentorship coordinator is the last position on our list here. Last but not least, so we have Michaela who's running, and is anyone else looking to run as well? Oh, and then we just lost Bree. All right. So London, do you want to read the last one?
Yeah. Of course. Okay, to start off, and Harriet. I'll go Michaela and I'll go Harriet. Okay, so for the first question, what are the qualities that make a great mentor?
I think some qualities are definitely being open-minded, first off, making sure that you establish a good relationship with whoever you're mentoring, and being as helpful as possible, making sure that they have your email, your texting information, so they can contact you whenever they need to. Just making sure that you are a support system. And I always think it's good to have a relationship where they can ask for help with other things too, not just architecture. Just making sure that they know that you are there for them whenever they need.
Okay, thank you. And then Harriet.
I think my answer is fairly similar to that. I think that having like good communication and knowing that you have someone who has your back and knowing that you have someone who will not just tell you what you want to hear necessarily, but will tell you, like, will give you information and be supportive to whatever you decide to do, and sort of know when they can help you and when they should direct you to getting other information, and sort of just, I mean, sort of like the like network I've been talking about with basically every question I've answered of that support network. And so the mentor's job is sort of being like a base point of the support network for someone else. So connecting them with other people, making sure they have access to resources, etc.
Hello.
Thank you. Oh, hi, Bree.
So sorry, it was in and out.
It's okay. Are you also running for a mentorship? Though I can't speak. Mentorship coordinator, because you left right when we started.
Oh, yes. I am running for social media only.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, so for the next question, I'll start with Michaela. It's the beginning of the semester, and many students have signed up to be mentors and mentees. How do you begin to pair them?
That's a good question. I think I would start off and see if anyone had any relationships prior. And then I'd probably know most of the mentors because they would probably be like in the similar age range as me. And I'd probably see who would fit together personality wise. Maybe send out like a Google form saying like, what are you looking for in a mentor? Asking like the mentors what their best like form of communication is, and just making sure that people are a good match. I think my sister, she is a mentor for a bunch of middle schoolers right now, and I think one of the most frustrating things for her is lack of communication, and that frustrates her and the students she's working with, just because if they don't mesh, then they're gonna get nothing out of it.
Thank you. And then Harriet, I'll repeat the question because rather long.
Thank you.
So it's the beginning of the semester, and many students have signed up to be mentors and mentees. How do you begin to pair them?
I think I would start by asking what the mentees are looking to get out of the mentorship program and asking the mentors what they're offering to give. Because if someone wants more professional advice and there's a mentor who's like, oh, I have this knowledge that I want to help, or someone is like, oh, I'm really interested in art history and maybe getting an art history minor. So I might find a mentor that has that personal experience just to make the connections match up more, just in terms of what people are looking for. And also, just as Michaela said, again, great answer. I'm probably just going to repeat some of the stuff. Communication is really important, and also knowing time commitments. So sort of making sure that there's a clear basis of how much time a mentee and what a mentee is looking for, and then how much a mentor can give. I know this semester I've done a little bit of matching up of mentors and mentees, and we have a couple like co-mentors depending on if someone was super busy and they were like, okay, I want to be a part of the mentorship program, but I don't have that much time, sort of figuring up the like equal matching of what people are looking for and what people have to offer.
Thank you. And then for the next question, Michaela, where am I? What does AIAS mean to you, and how will you make this position a priority?
So this past year has been kind of hard being connected with school. AIAS has definitely helped, but I've always loved this club. I love architecture. Victoria and Abigail were our TAs in D1, and just being able to have them to lean on and get help with. And they were in AIAS too. Victoria was the president. And just them bringing us kind of in to the architecture community that we were so new to was so helpful, and it made it actually feel like a community instead of when we're all in like art classes our freshman year and we don't know anyone, and you're like, are you an architecture student or are you a studio major, and you're like trying to figure it out. AIAS really helped me kind of feel like a sense of belonging, I guess. And I think that with this mentorship program, that could help a lot too, especially when like COVID, people don't know many people. Like freshmen right now, when they come into architecture, they're going to be like, oh, so lost because they don't really know people because everything's been online. So I think that this program came at a perfect time.
Thank you. And Harriet, I know you already asked this, but what does AIS mean to you, and how will you make this position a priority? So you can elaborate.
So again, AIS to me is very much a support network, and sort of in terms of making within our school, within the architecture program at UMASS, it's a good community, and sort of extending that outward to connecting UMass students to resources and people outside of our program. If that's having an event with a different school or meeting with professionals, etc. So I think the mentorship program is sort of just a very, if all the other things we are doing are implying this sort of partnership, the mentorship program is just very explicitly saying like, this is someone who has done this before. This is someone who hasn't done this before. If we put them together, you won't have to figure things out on your own as much. Because there is a level of value in doing something and figuring it out for yourself. But I think that there are some things that you don't have to figure out. Someone can just be like, hey, that doesn't make sense. Everyone else did it. When in my studio, everyone made the same problem. So you shouldn't. You should. So sort of just creating that network of knowledge and also community. Did that answer the question?
It did. Thank you. And then Michaela, last question for you. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody is around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Yes.
No, good answer. And then for you, Harriet, what would you do for a Klondike bar?
Almost anything.
Okay. And then I think that's the end of everything.
Awesome job, everyone. I know that like being put on the spot to answer questions can be really challenging, and I know that always makes me super nervous whenever I have to do it. So I really admire you for doing it for multiple positions too, because that is a lot of work. So great job, everyone, and thank you so much for running and really just expressing your love for AIAS. It's so nice to see. Faye, I think I saw a hand.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we want to really quick clarify like how voting is going to work, and that like you can rank people as your top tier for multiple positions?
Yeah, of course. So London and I will be sending out the poll shortly, and the poll will be open for 24 hours. So it'll be like roughly from 8 p.m. tonight to 8 p.m. tomorrow, and then we'll be announcing the winners on Thursday morning. So ranked choice voting, the way that we'll be doing it is within the Google poll that we'll be sending out. You'll be able to say, okay, I want this person to be president, but then you get to rank the other people as well. So you have a first choice, a second choice, and a third choice. So that is done with the intention of really giving everyone a fair shot. Like I was mentioning a little bit before, when we have that, it gives people the opportunity. So say someone, whoever wins president, vice president, whoever ends up winning that, they will eventually be taken out of the other positions that they won. So their votes can kind of be given to other people. So their top, if they were someone's top choice, they will now become, they won't be mentioned, so somebody else will come their top choice. It's a little bit confusing, but it's really just to give everyone the best shot that they can possibly have at all of the positions. That's how we did it last year, and it ended up working out well, I think. But yeah, great job, everyone. I think we're gonna wrap things up, but if EBOARD can stay on the call for just a couple of minutes, that would be great. But thank you again for everyone who ran. It was really great to see everyone, and I'm so excited for next year for you guys.